Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up.
Sorry about that. Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully you're having a wonderful Friday. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Oh, Therese is in bed with strep. Oh no. Good vibes your way. I don't know what I have. One minute I'm like feeling okay. The next minute I'm just feeling really tired. That's all it is. And then I have like this horrible cough. So if you hear me hacking up a lung tonight, I'm sorry. I'll try to mute if I do have to cough, but I don't feel sick. It's so weird to me. Like I keep knocking on wood because I'm not like sick, but I'm not feeling the best. You guys know me. I'm always online. I'm always here. And thank you, Ladybug, for remembering it was our 9th year anniversary, me and Vincent's. Yeah, he got me actually, I don't know if you guys can see him, but well, you can't really see him. We don't have a light back there, that right? But he bought me a big bouquet of like roses and some other little flowers in there that I'm not sure what they are, but they're really pretty. They're really pretty. He knows how much I love flowers. I'm a flowers girl. And he's not really like the type that, buys flowers normally. I think he just he don't think that. He thinks of like practical things, He's a practical guy. But he's been getting me flowers lately and I'm here for it. Hey, DM. And then today, I was so sick yesterday, I didn't even go out to get him like a card or anything. So I was ordering stuff off Amazon. And will you tell me why they knocked on my door to deliver my card today? And I was sleeping. I was just so exhausted that they took the card with them. Like it was like an iPhone or something. I'm like, it's like a $7 card. Leave the card. I need the card. So, but that's okay. We're going to celebrate, practice on the site. We're going to celebrate tomorrow anyway. So, hey, KJ. Hey, Mandy. Hey, Princess. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Wizard. It's good to see you guys. I feel like I haven't seen you guys at all. Hey, Tempest. Hey, Suze. Driving but listening. Be careful driving. We're missing one. We're missing one. Where's Miss Barry Beth? Teresa, I hope you feel better. I don't know what's going around. There is some stuff just going around. And I don't really go out that much, I feel like. The last few days I haven't anyway, because I've been scared to. I'm going to mask up, I think, when I go out. Because I'm not trying to get sick. I think what is happening to me is I'm like, maybe it's the flu trying to come on, but my body is like, because I got a flu shot. So maybe that's what it is. Hey, Rhonda. It's good to see ya. Hey, Kellyanne. Well, I was just thinking, and I was like, I shot up in bed earlier when I don't know what made me think of Bryan Kohberger as I'm taking a nap, but it happens, you know. Oh, Reese, mini cups from the freezer, Wizard. You always have the best. You have the best desserts. You did. Hey, Robin. I'm glad that everyone's in. Hey, Cat K. I wasn't sure if I would still be here in the algorithm or not, you know, because sometimes they just throw you right out. Thanks, Ladybug. Thank you, Suze. It is a blessing. 9 years. I was like, man, I can't believe I got him to put up with me for 9 years. Shoot. That's a long time. I was like, just think, next year it'll be 10 years. I can't imagine my life without him. I'm very lucky. I lucked out in that department. Hey, SSD. How you doing? Hey, DM. You've never gotten them before, Ashley? Aw. You're always the one probably to give the flowers. Didn't you used to do that? Pick up flowers on the way home? Like wildflowers? Why do I feel like someone in the chat used to do that? Hey, Elser. Squeaky, you changed your picture. That, you know what? And you don't have to water them. You should have bought you a bunch of those plastic flowers at Dollar Tree. He would have loved it. He would have done that. Do you know what they do have at Dollar Tree though now? They have those bigger balloons, like the number balloons. I did my numbers when I hit 10K. They have those big balloons like that now. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I went to Party City and spent $45 on those stupid balloons. They lasted a week. Hey, Lenora. Double ear infection, man. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm not trying to get sick. I don't like it. I'm one of those people, I don't know why it's been engraved in me, but it's been engraved in my head that time is money, you know, and not meaning I could be making money, just meaning there's things I could be doing with my time that's valuable, you know, and when I'm sick and I'm sitting in bed, that's not valuable time. Hey, Aries. I heard it's getting crazy out there. If you guys have been following the Sebastian's case, I heard it's been nuts. I've just been kind of staying away from it a little bit. If you ask me, it's getting a little nutty out there. And this is what happened with Summer Wells's case too. Unfortunately, it got so overwhelmingly chaotic that good creators are going to stop covering it, you know, because they're not going to want to keep up with the drama and the mess of it all and all of that, you know. I heard that I heard the Queen Bee is going. Hey, Jenny. And I'm like, oh it is going to be chaos tomorrow. I'll be there to watch it. I'm not there. I'm not going to Tennessee, but I'll be in the area, you know, behind my computer, of course, watching it. But yeah, they had an interview. Katie, we haven't followed the case in a while, but so I'll give you a little rundown. But Katie did an interview. And then I don't know if her and Chris did another interview together. And then Seth did his live. So I don't know. Oh, man. Facts, Not Feelings. I like that name. We were going to actually name my second channel that, I think. It was Facts Over Feelings. Vincent thought of that one, I think. It's a good name. We ended up going with Unfiltered, but Smiley's there too. Well, what the heck? There's a visual tomorrow, so why am I not? Like, am I the only one that's not going? Huh. That would be good. That would be comedy gold to be down there, you know. You're welcome. I mean, I think that I would want to stay far away from there. I would be in jail. And it wouldn't be because of anything that I wouldn't put my hands on anyone or do anything like that. I would just be the one to go to jail. That would just be my luck. So I was going to say, is Dolly going? Oh, this is going to be great. Oh, man. Julie's going to be there. So tomorrow this is so sad. This is like funny and sad at the same time. But okay, so Sebastian Rogers' father is having a vigil tomorrow, another one. And Justin and the monkey are going, oh my, heaven forbid. Oh, so is that, everybody's going but Brittany? Oh. You couldn't pay me enough to go there. Wizard Walt, I don't know. This might be pretty funny. It's going to be something big. Oh, man. And they're all going to be live streaming. This is like the Quentin Simon case, but like way different. Like it's like the same because it's like the same group and it's like they're all messing with each other. Like they do in every case. It's like high profile, but this is different because they're all like converging at the same time. Like I know that Betty and all them kind of went out at the same time, but they didn't have like, crazy lady. What was her woman's name? I liked her. Arlene, they came and started all the stuff, they didn't have her come in until like the second act or whatever. This is JLR's going, Magnolia. I'm literally the only one. Vincent, I need a plane ticket. Yeah, the autism. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tonight because I was sitting in bed earlier and I'm thinking about Bryan Kohberger. I don't know why. He popped in my head. It was because I wasn't feeling very well. And I was like, am I going to be able to go on live tonight? And because I wanted to talk to you guys about this. Because I popped up and I was like, wait a freaking minute. So Bryan Kohberger is saying, well, his attorneys are alleging that because we pulled it up. Now it hasn't been filed, but because they're like gagging it all or whatever now, they're not putting it out yet. So let me pull it up for you guys so you guys can see the case summary. The case summary is long. Let's go down. And I'm sure you guys have probably seen this. Maybe you haven't because there's not a lot of people following. There are people following this case still, but everyone's kind of moved on to Sebastian. And thanks, guys, for being here. I appreciate it. So on 424, that was the last one that we were reading, and it was just the motion to exceed the page limit. Then on the same day, they have a motion. It says to preclude the death penalty and adopt other necessary procedures due to the state's numerous disclosure violations. And then it has another motion to strike the death penalty. And it says Autism Spectrum Disorder. Motion to redact or seal newly filed records. And they did redact and seal those. And that's for the autism spectrum. All the information, I guess, pertaining to that is going to be sealed, which I don't like. I'm wondering, how is he going to play this off? Oh, thank you. Facts Not Feelings. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, that's what we're going to do tonight too. Yep. I was going to say something else. I can't remember about Bryan Kohberger. Why haven't we heard about this autism spectrum before? And when is that? Has anyone ever even used that as a defense? Like ever? I need to look that up. But that's not going to work. You are a TA. You lived on your own. You must be very high functioning. You know what I mean? Like, because you can live on your own and be like very high functioning. You were able to do things. You were able to go to school, be a TA, allegedly unalive and plan to unalive people. you are most of the time, people that with like autism, they don't like change. They don't like a switch up. I feel like committing a crime, like especially a murder, that's going to be a big switch up there. I don't know. Lots and lots. So what I was thinking is, if he's coming out here, right? Like just think about it for 1 minute. If he's coming out here and he's saying, I did it, but I had autism. He's literally just said he did it, but he has autism. Like, that's literally what they're using. Let him use it all day. He's admitting that he unalived 4 people, but he did it because he had autism. Right, Ed? You're exactly right. And a lot, like I was hearing somebody earlier. Oh, we might actually watch it. I think it was Angela Levy was talking earlier about like how, people that are autistic, they do have like social cues that aren't like there. Not everybody that is autistic, doesn't. I mean, like I could talk to you guys. I can talk to pretty much anybody. I don't have a problem with talking to people, and my doctor has claimed that I am autistic. Still testing, but as of right now, yeah. And I've never hurt anybody. Yeah, the jailing autistic person, yeah. So I think that's why they're trying to get him off of the death penalty. But to me, that's just him confessing. Like, yeah, I did it. I don't want the death penalty, though. Very weird. Very weird. Hope Mary Beth's okay. I haven't seen Mary Beth. I know, right? If we can get, yeah. I'm gonna start. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't like to break the law, but I'm gonna break into a bank that doesn't have anybody there. Like, break into it after they're closed for the night. I don't know. That's trying to think of that's my worst crime that I could think of. But there were some stuff. There were a couple documents that came out, but they're going to kind of go over those in what we're going to be listening to. Plus, we went over them a little bit on our last live. The state is going to bring in a 3D model of the home, or they're asking the judge if they're allowed. It's not going to have, they said, the bodies are not going to be in there. They're not going to place like Barbies in there, no furniture, none of that, which I don't see why they wouldn't put the furniture in there. That to me would make sense. And even the people, like, I mean, not like a gory mess, but just so you can have a visual. But they said that they are actually they made this 3D image, or they're doing it right now at the FBI headquarters, where you're going to be able to take layer by layer off. So like, you'll be able to take the third layer of this, 3-story building off, and then second layer and first layer, which I think is very interesting. I can't wait to see that. I hope that we get to see it. I hope that we get to. I'm ready for all of the scientific facts and everything to come in. And like I've said before, I think that opening statements are going to tell us a lot. They usually do. They kind of like lay out, a little bit of their case. So I saw that a couple new videos came out, and there was so much new information that was coming out over the last few days. I thought we would watch these and kind of break it down a little bit better, and go over what exactly is happening, from Dylan, changing her story to them trying to get Bryan off of, the death penalty by citing that he's autistic now. Like, are they just throwing noodles at the wall? I don't know. Maybe they are. What do you think Judge Hippler's going to say to this? Good try? Try again? I don't know. Okay, so we're going to watch this. We'll see what, and I'll pause it here and there too, so we can commentate. But if you guys don't mind just taking a second, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We'd love to have you. We are usually here every night at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but last couple of days I didn't feel good that well, so I wasn't here.
To strike the death penalty in this case and not allow the case to go forward as a death penalty case.
Bryan Kohberger making another pitch to strike the death penalty, this time citing autism.
Oh, I'm going to actually stop this really quick because I don't know if I'll go over this, and I wanted to go over this really quick. Why do you guys think they got rid of Jay Logston? And they decided to go with their expert witness, Bicca Barlow. I don't know, because like the last few hearings, you could see like Jay was on his computer, like he wasn't like, I think 2 meetings ago, he was like in the gallery. He wasn't even sitting with the lawyers. And then this last hearing they had, he was like off to the side, like on his computer, not really participating. I'm wondering if citing case law from 1800s is what got him where he's at, because I mean, he had it made $180 an hour. That's pretty good penny, pretty good paycheck. Hey, Mike.
Spectrum disorder, and the defense doesn't want the word psychopath used at trial as prosecutors try to bar him from presenting his partial alibi or accusing other people of the crime. I have the details in motions just filed. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. It's been a busy week in Bryan Kohberger's case as his attorneys and prosecutors get ready for trial by filing a flurry of new motions. Kohberger could be put to death if he's convicted of murdering 4 University of Idaho students. His attorneys have said he's innocent, and they've tried unsuccessfully to get DNA evidence and much of the other evidence collected against him thrown out. Yeah. But prosecutors say they have the goods on Kohberger. They say he murdered Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle in a home off campus in November of 2022. All 4 students were stabbed to death, some as they slept. Now let's say Kohberger is convicted and the jury finds he should be sentenced to death. The firing squad is now an option in Idaho. Kohberger's lawyers have already tried once to have the death penalty removed as a possible punishment. Here's his attorney, Ann Taylor, last year.
The firing squad ended up on the books because of the difficulty obtaining the drugs to kill somebody. That's why the firing squad came back. Idaho brings it back in 2023. They bring it back because it's not reliable to believe they're always going to be able to get the chemicals to execute somebody. And that's the real problem here. The firing squad hasn't been funded well enough to be built.
I think they're building it right now, as I recall from the media, at least, that the construction's actually underway. But
that made me laugh the first time I heard it. It made me laugh the second time I heard it. She's like, it's unconstitutional. And he's like, I think they're building it right now. I'm going to let you guys listen to that again because I thought it was pretty funny.
Hasn't been
and I didn't catch it the first time.
That's the real problem here. The firing squad hasn't been funded well enough to be built.
I think they're building it right now, as I recall from the media, at least, that the construction's actually underway. But I may be wrong about that.
Well, I haven't talked to the director of the Department of Corrections, and that's probably who I would take my word from if that's actually happening right now. I think there's some additional problems with the firing squad, though. I think there's some problems with the way our statute lays it out, too.
Judge Hippler denied the request to strike the death penalty, and that wasn't a surprise. But now the defense is taking another swing at striking the death penalty. The defense has filed a motion to strike the death penalty, citing Autism Spectrum Disorder. But the exhibits attached to the motion are sealed, like many of the other documents in the case. Now, this is the first time we've heard anything about Bryan Kohberger possibly being on the autism spectrum, which includes Asperger's syndrome. The defense is also asking for permission to file other motions to strike the death penalty. So they're not giving up.
That one guy had Asperger's that unalived his mom at sea or whatever, remember? Didn't he have Asperger's? I can't remember if he was ever ended up being guilty of that. I can't remember the guy's name. It was years ago. They found him out on like a little boat, like a little raft. And then I think his mom was found, or maybe they didn't find his mom. She was just like not on the boat anymore. So they just assumed like she was dead. I can't remember the guy's name. But it was just, he had a problem with him not being able to communicate well. That was all it was. I'm going to have to look that case up. He was just floating in the middle of the ocean. They found him. I can't think of his name.
This fight not buying a long shot. And get this, prosecutors are asking to bar the defense from presenting neuropsychological and psychiatric.
Oh, you're right. Asperger's is no longer a diagnosis. KCG, you're right.
Evidence. Now, a lot of the documents, as I mentioned, are sealed in this case, but the prosecution says they're doing this in response to witnesses the defense wants to call. Remember, Idaho doesn't have an insanity defense. Prosecutors cite a statute which provides that mental condition shall not be a defense to any charge of criminal conduct, except expert evidence on the issues of any state of mind, which is an element of the case. Now, pretty interesting.
He's a doctoral student.
Because the defense apparently wants to call those witnesses into response to witnesses the prosecutors want to call. The defense had written, testimony is not intended to be a mental element defense pursuant to Idaho Code 18-207, but rather this testimony is about state of mind as well as factual defense testimony to anticipated testimony elicited by the state. Now, I think this may have to do with testimony that prosecutors want to present about what was going on with Bryan Kohberger in his life at the time that these murders were committed. There have been reports that things were not going well for him with his teaching assistant position at Washington State University. We'll see at trial. But another thing that caught my eye, the defense has filed a motion asking the judge to bar the use of the words psychopath or sociopath at trial. That might come in during the penalty phase. More on that later. Now, remember when the house on King Road was torn down? Kaylee Gonsalves's family was incredibly upset. They were worried that it would be needed for trial and that the home was torn down prematurely. But the defense and the prosecution both agreed the house would not be needed for trial and signed off on the university tearing the house down. So the house came down in December of 2023. The house had a really odd layout. So prosecutors are asking the judge to allow them to show the jury a 3D model of the house. They write, this model will consist of 3 levels, which can be removed by level to show the interior layout of the residence. The interior layout will depict wall and doors placements, i.e. no furniture, human depictions, etc. The model will be placed on a rolling table for portability within the courtroom.
Is very emotional.
I didn't mean to do that to us.
The defense suffered all.
What did I do? I was like, what did I do? I don't know where we were. Is this it? Okay, yeah. I like clicked one of these like buttons at the top and it was just an interview for Kaylee. So it wouldn't have been bad. We could have just went on with the interview. We probably wouldn't have been, we'd have been like, wait, what are we watching?
Show the interior layout of the residence.
But I do think that they should have put the furniture in there. You know, that would have been easy enough to put in there. They didn't have a ton of furniture, you know. Maybe not the human depictions, I mean, I guess. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm a visual person, so I would want to see like, nothing like gory or anything. But I would just want to see where the people were standing in the house at what time and what was happening according to the prosecution, you know. Because they're the one that's laying this story out, this, you know. So I would want to know.
The interior layout will depict wall and doors placements, i.e. no furniture, human depictions, etc. The model will be placed on a rolling table for portability within the courtroom, can be placed out of the way when not in use. This model is being constructed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation based on depictions, documentation, and measurements taken at the scene prior to demolition of the 1122 King Road residence. Now remember, the feds had gone back to the house to measure it. Prosecutors continue. The primary purpose of this model is to aid the jury in having a better understanding of the layout of the residence, which is unconventional, and to illustrate where certain events occurred within the residence. The model will aid certain witnesses, i.e. law enforcement, surviving roommates, individuals responding to the crime scene, and crime scene analysts in demonstrating the location of victims, location of witnesses, location of items of evidence, items related to their testimony, path of travel, etc. The state anticipates laying the proper foundation to establish the model accurately reflects the layout of the 1122 King Road residence. The world can be a really scary and unpredictable place, and that's why having a great lawyer really matters.
Okay, she's doing her commercial.
Other suspects, but prosecutors
Oh, let me go back a little bit.
to the model of the house, but you never know. When Kohberger's trial begins, his defense may want to point the finger at other suspects, but prosecutors don't want that happening. Kohberger's lawyers have already brought up 2 unknown DNA profiles found at the King Road house. We've told you about this before.
We're going to go over this tomorrow on a live because I want to do, I want to like try to lay it out all for you guys. But do you think, put this in your head for a little bit. Remember when Bryan Kohberger was at DeSales University and they had that mock murder house and they would go in and they'd have to solve the crimes? Do you guys, and they would like, the students would go in, not the students that were participating, but other students would go in and they would like put in like the fake blood or whatever it was. And that's how they would like, you know, gather their clues and then they would, whoever would solve the case. Do you think that Bryan Kohberger could have looked at this house kind of like that murder house where he left a little bit of DNA outside on a glove? He supposedly wasn't by the front door. Supposedly, I don't know. But that front door was open at 8:30 the next morning. It was left open all night and there was blood on the railing. Just things like that. Do you think that he could have did that? Maybe left the sheaf on purpose thinking that he didn't have his DNA on it. I don't know. Hey, Regina, I've just been thinking about it. Exactly. Yeah. It's under murder weapon under one of the ladies. So yeah, where is Mary Beth?
At a recent hearing, Ann Taylor asked the lead detective, if I told you the lab report showed unknown male B came from a blood spot on the handrail going between the second and the first floor, does that help jog your memory? When asking him about it. So there was a blood spot on a handrail and male DNA found on gloves outside the house. The defense has...
What's a spot? I feel like if it was like a smear or like something big, it'd be called a smear. Now, this could be just 2 guys horsing around, you know, at one of the parties and someone got a bloody nose or a busted lip.
Has brought these up a couple of times. Prosecutors are asking the judge to bar evidence about alternative suspects. Prosecutors write, the Idaho Supreme Court noted the trial court must first consider and determine whether the proffered evidence is relevant. The second step is to determine whether the probative value of the proffered evidence is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, or misleading the jury, or by considerations of undue delay, waste of time, or needless presentation of cumulative evidence. Prosecutors do not want Kohberger using the some other dude did it defense. They write, in this case, during the course of the investigation, literally thousands of tips regarding possible perpetrators were received by law enforcement. With the exception of information regarding the defendant, none of these tips were substantiated. The state submits that any attempt by the defendant to offer or argue an alternative perpetrator theory without evidence specifically connecting persons other than the defendant to the homicides would do nothing more than mislead and confuse the jury and would also result in undue delay, waste of time, would be a needless presentation of cumulative evidence and unfairly prejudice the state. Under the Idaho Supreme Court's ruling in Meister, this should be prohibited. The prosecution is also asking Judge Hippler to bar the defense from presenting their alibi at trial. You know, the one where he was out driving west of Moscow, including visiting Wawawe Park. The prosecutor writes, the defendant has yet to
Wawawe. That's how you say it. I don't know what I was saying before, but it wasn't that.
Specify the specific place or places at which the defendant claims to have been at the time of the alleged offense, and the names and addresses of the witnesses upon whom he intends to rely to establish such alibi, as directed by the February 23, 2024 order setting deadlines and hearing, and as discussed in the state's April 26, 2024 response to notice of defendant's supplemental response to state's alibi demand. So there is a lot to talk.
They don't want to talk about that alibi. They just don't want to talk about it.
Talk about. And to do that, I want to bring in Philip Dubé. He has worked as court-appointed counsel in Los Angeles County. Philip, there have been a lot of motions in limine filed to address issues at trial. And I want to start with this first one about the state basically saying Bryan Kohberger's alibi, this alibi he's presenting that he's at this park and he's driving around, not really an alibi. And so Judge Hippler should tell them they can't present this at trial. Your thoughts on this?
Well, it's a little complicated, and I'll tell you, obviously he wants the jury to know that he was elsewhere at the time of the crime, that he was either praying and chanting and sitting in a lotus position, maybe doing Pilates stretches, looking at the stars, as opposed to slitting poor students' throats, okay? And that might be true. Let's give him that. The problem is you have to disclose that upon a discovery request from the prosecution early. You can't just wait to the 11th hour. And there are reciprocal rules of discovery in the state of Idaho that require the defense to turn over all the facts surrounding the alibi, any witnesses who can corroborate it, any physical or circumstantial evidence or digital evidence that you might have. If you don't turn it over, it deprives the state of its ability to investigate it and to rebut it. The remedy is discretionary exclusion by the judge. So in theory, Judge Hippler could just say, you know what, you didn't turn this over, knock off this gamesmanship. There is now a doomsday sanction for this type of gamesmanship, and that is exclusion. So move on to your next defense theory. It's not going to be alibi. Now, on the other hand, you never want to deprive a defendant of a defense. And it is discretionary for a reason. There may be legitimate, good cause reasons why the defense did not turn it over. It could be that they were waiting for the prosecution to provide them with really important probative evidence to prove his whereabouts that they could not get on their own through the subpoena power. And it could be that the prosecution was dilatory or lollygagging and not getting it to the defense to show that he in fact has an alibi. But if that is the case, the prosecution had it all along. So they really can't cry foul if the very evidence that they need to refute the alibi was already in their possession.
Well, the defense has accused the state many times of multiple discovery violations. They want to strike the death penalty because of that again. So they've made many of these arguments. But they're saying, the state is saying, look, you missed your deadline and you haven't given us any witnesses. You haven't met the code requirements for presenting an alibi. So Hippler seems like he doesn't really put up with any type of, nonsense. So do you see him saying, basically put up or shut up to the defense, hand over the witnesses if you have them?
I think what the court's going to do, and it's very common, the court's going to set what we call a compliance date. In other words, make an order saying, look, I'm not going to exclude it, but I'm going to give you a drop dead deadline. If you do not meet that deadline that I am telling you now, you're not going to put on that defense. So what he's going to do is give them a date. And then that date is always subject to a good cause continuance if for whatever reason they cannot turn it over. And it goes back to what I just said a moment ago, and that is they could be waiting for discovery from the prosecution to help buttress their alibi defense. And you just put it all out there on the record, and the judge can factor that in. But there is no way on God's green earth that the judge is going to exclude alibi. At most, he just might put the trial over, give them a little more time so that everybody is on equal footing in presenting the case.
Let's move on now to the barring of some other.
She's had a lot. She's had a lot of continuances and a lot of,
did it defense. The state is saying they shouldn't be allowed to point the finger at a third party, other suspects, unless they meet certain requirements under Idaho case law. And they mentioned the Meister case. Are they doing this in part because of this unknown male DNA? I mean, I feel like this is pretty common. I've seen this in other cases where prosecutors say they shouldn't be allowed to point the finger at other people unless they have evidence of it. But does this have something to do with those unknown male DNA profiles that the defense has brought up in court time and time again?
I'm sure that's what it is, because that's the only evidence that they have that somebody else might have been at that house. And to be fair, it really could be an alternative type perpetrator of the crime. But again, it goes back to what I just said moments ago. They already have that discovery. Remember, the defense learned of it through the prosecution. So it should come as no surprise and no shock that they're going to try to use that biological evidence to link this sort of unknown third-party culprit to the homicide. Now, the problem is for the defense, if you really think about it, it's sort of inconsistent. He's saying he was sitting in the lotus position, contemplating his navel, looking at the stars. Okay. How can you have an alibi? Okay. And yet claim that there is a third party culprit? You have to kind of pick your poison, if you will. Otherwise, you're going to have to put on both defenses and it's going to look desperate to the jury. The problem with third party culprit or alternative type perpetrators is that you have to have more evidence than just the means, the motive, and the opportunity for this unknown third party to have committed it. You need something concrete to really link that person to the crime, as opposed to just some evidence of presence of another person's DNA in the abstract. And what they should do, maybe, if they haven't already, is run that specimen through CODIS, the Combined DNA Index, or through investigative genealogy, like they did to Bryan Kohberger, and see if you can find out who that is. If you're not going to do that, then it looks like the state's hiding the ball. Because I don't believe that the defense has the capability of just presenting a specimen to private data banks and asking them to do an IgG run. They can't do it because it's law enforcement activity in nature, and the defense has no standing or contractual right to do it.
Yeah, there's been conflicting answers given about the unknown male DNA. The prosecution said in some court filings over a year ago and in court that there weren't enough points or whatever, it wasn't suitable to upload to CODIS. And then the detective said at a recent hearing, we couldn't pull, the unknown, which turned out to be Kohberger's DNA, they're saying, on the knife sheath. We couldn't pull that out of CODIS and then insert these other ones. So there's been two kind of conflicting accounts of how that went down. But yeah, like IgG.
Couldn't you just start a whole new CODIS, trying to think of how to do this, like a whole new page, like let's say, you have like a book, like a page, a tab, like on the top of your computer. Couldn't you use that and just scoot that test over and just be like, I'm coming back to that test, have it in queue or something? I went to school for criminal justice, but I don't even remember this stuff like this. That to me just sounds like something that is should have been fixed a long time ago. That shouldn't be a thing. That shouldn't be a thing where you can't run more than one DNA sample per case in CODIS. That's kind of what they're saying. And that's just untrue. That has to be untrue. And if that is true, then they need to they need to adopt a new system.
They could do that and figure out who these people are. Then.
Or what if they just what if they did this? They put the old I don't know, maybe they didn't have enough of the sample of the scrapings, but after they're done testing the new, the blood samples, the one on the glove, the one on the hand railing, then maybe they put the old test back in there that said it was Bryan Kohberger and put that test back in there. But then again, I'm sure the defense could say something about that.
Go interview them. And then there you go. Exactly. That takes care of that.
Exactly.
This 3D model thing that they want to bring in, this defense agreed to tear the house down. They said, we don't need it. State says we don't need the house. There was a big hullabaloo about tearing down the King Road house before trial. Now the state wants that they said the FBI is making a 3D model. They can take it apart and show people where things happen in the house. It's a wonky shaped house. Do you think the defense objects to this?
I don't think so, to be honest with you, because if you really think about it, let's just pretend that the house was still standing. In theory, the prosecution could have moved for what's called a jury viewing. And in theory, the judge could have allowed the jury to actually go out to the scene. But I doubt that the court would have done that. Instead, the court might have said, well, look, what else do you have that's a reasonable facsimile of that house? Do you have video, for example? Do you have a model of the home? What else do you have? Well, they're bringing in the next best thing. And that is basically a playhouse, if you will, of that.
Sounds like a dollhouse.
that haunted house, like a dollhouse, exactly, like, albeit a little Alice in Wonderlandish because it's miniaturized. But nonetheless, if it sort of meets the specs of the size and the dimensions of all the rooms in that house, I think it's the next best evidence.
I want to get to the big one now. The state is going back to the death penalty. Okay. They are saying now, and I don't know why they didn't bring this up before, that they want to strike the death penalty, and they're citing autism spectrum disorder, which includes Asperger's syndrome. And I bring that up because Bryan Kohberger, from the little bit we've seen, if he's on the autism spectrum, I would think it would be at the very high functioning end. What do you make of this? Because the exhibits that are attached to this motion are sealed. Gosh, like, is this a last ditch effort to strike the death penalty? I mean, I'm thinking Asperger's only because that is on the higher functioning end of this. And he's a TA, and it talks about social awkwardness, having trouble maintaining relationships, things like that. Those are
I mean, he did tickle that girl kind of weird, but I think he was just being weird.
hallmarks of Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the U.S. Supreme Court held back in, I think it was 2002, in a case called Atkins versus Virginia, that state.
He's so monotone. Every time I see him, he makes me. What's that little dog's name? That like the droopy. Was it droopy? It had little droopy eyes. What dog am I thinking of? It was like a cartoon back in the 80s, maybe 70s, 80s.
States cannot execute the intellectually disabled, period.
Yeah, droopy. That's what it looks like.
So what it would do, and I don't know that I would necessarily call it a last-ditch effort, it's basically what I call a process of accretion in litigating a case, and particularly a capital case. You start with your initial line of attack, and that was get all the evidence, look at it, and see if any of it is inadmissible. And then you file your necessary suppression motions where the evidence can't come in on constitutional grounds. And unfortunately, the defense suffered all kinds of defeats on that front. So now what do? Well, now you're focusing more on penalty. And if you can invoke your rights under Atkins, then you request what's called an Atkins hearing. And that is a hearing where a judge actually takes testimony from all the experts and decides whether or not the capital defendant meets the criteria of being intellectually disabled. And essentially what the defense has to show is that he has a sub-average IQ, and it's typically way below 70. And in fact, in the Atkins case, I think Mr. Atkins, who was 18, had an IQ of 59. I mean, he was mildly mentally retarded. And I don't even know if it's politically correct to even use that expression anymore. But back in those days, that was the operative sort of clinical language that they used. And then you have to show that they have poor performance and social and adaptive and behavioral skills. And you also have to show that these deficiencies probably were exhibited before the age of 18. Because you have to show that this was like a lifelong battle and not something that you're just going to discover or manufacture in your adult years to.
Your parents better get them medical records ready.
Skirt the death penalty, if you will. So now what it is, it's a question for the court, and it's litigated at the Atkins hearing. And for now, the motion is impounded or sealed because there's certain, I don't want to say proprietary, but private confidential opinions that were rendered probably by various neuropsychologists who may have done some testing, psychiatrists, and then regular clinical psychologists. So you keep that kind of non-public until the hearing.
This other motion that's been filed is pretty interesting to me too, because I don't know if I've ever, maybe I have heard actually. I've covered a lot of cases, and I've seen some prosecutors say some things over the years that were somewhat inflammatory. But the defense has filed a motion about the use of the word sociopath or psychopath at the trial. They don't want that either of those terms used. You know, a psychopath is clinically somebody with no conscience, and sociopath is kind of like a brother of that or a cousin of that. So. Wow. Why would they file that? Because that to me seems like something that might come in maybe in a penalty phase, if you're talking about possible testimony from a psychiatric expert or a psychological expert, it's certainly not, to me, something that would come in your case in chief.
Well, every state has a definition for the parties to a criminal action. In other words, the defendant, the plaintiff, which is usually the state or the people of the state, and then certainly the victims and the witnesses, and they all have definitions. The definition of a defendant is not a psychopath. It is not a sociopath. If you go beyond the legal definition of the named parties, it can be very prejudicial. If you keep referring to Bryan Kohberger as a psychopath when he is presumed innocent, rather than the generic title given to him by the legislature just by virtue of being accused, it tends to tilt the balance, if you will, in favor of guilt before you've even heard one shred of evidence. So I think it's inappropriate. It's unethical. Just like you don't refer to victims as a defense attorney as liars, as money grabbers, as people out for their own interests. They are victims, they are witnesses, and you let a jury decide. Now, in closing, it might be fair comment by weaving in all of the evidence that was presented at the trial in characterizing the parties and the witnesses based on what is in evidence. And if that's the case, then at least it's not, I don't want to say inflammatory, but it's certainly not unethical. It's only unethical if you comment outside the record or if you comment on anything that has been excluded by the court. I think it's fair game to sanitize it, keep the parties' names to what they are referred to in law rather than what you want to refer to them in social settings, if you will. And we are in a legal setting, and I think it would be very prejudicial to refer to him as a psychopath.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, we'll see how it all plays out. The defense is also looking to exclude that IgG evidence, the genetic genealogy DNA evidence.
Never.
Never. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot going on, and they've actually brought their DNA expert, Bricka Barlow, on as counsel now. So it's very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I still can't believe that. I'm just like, I wonder why. Yeah, he ain't the cutest looking, is he? This generation of cuddles and kisses versus the 1400s when they had actual real justice and common sense. Yeah. Or even the 1980s, I feel like. Now we're not allowed to say psychopath, sociopath. Okay. Those would be the first two things I'd say out of my mouth because I'm that quirky person. I don't mean to do it, but I do. So, not to interrupt our coverage of Bryan Kohberger, but I went to go over to Twitter to put Bryan Kohberger's name in there to see if there was anything that would pop up. And first thing I see, this is going to be a shit show. Queen Bee went live. She is traveling. Wow, you think Dolly spilled the tea? And then it says Dolly right here. It says, packing up to head down to Tennessee for Sebastian's prayer vigil. My plane leaves at 10:45. Can't wait to meet Queen Bee. Oh, this is going to be fun. Staying with Clue and her old man. So I guess they're all staying at Clue's. This is going to, that's, man. Oh, yeah, no, I can help. Oh, man. Okay, so let's go over and we're going to give Vinny Politan's his commentary on this whole subject. There's a lot of stuff that's been coming out. I mean, and I wonder if it's going to be like this until trial. I think it is. I think that as soon as the judge gets, has a saying on like, has a decision on, the whole autistic paperwork that they just sent in, the motions. I think once he gets a decision on that, then he'll unseal those. He'll probably do the same thing as he did with the last transcript, is he'll like unseal it. He'll give like maybe the prosecution and the defense 14 days each to like go through it and redact what they want. And then maybe he'll put it out. Like maybe that's what he's planning on doing, is just putting out little bits here and, here and there until trial, because if not, we're going to get really overstimulated during trial, I feel like. But yeah, look at his face. He's saying it all now. He's saying it all now. She really isn't. Oh, I thought she really was. Man, they're all going there, but ooh. Have a good night. Yeah, they shouldn't even put in this out. Yeah, it's definitely not a defense. I guess it's because, I mean, they can prove it, but I guess it's harder. It could be harder to prove because he could be lying. He could be studying up right now on, the different things to say to somebody that would create, a doctor to think that that you're autistic. But hopefully they're a little smarter than he is. They do work in the prison.
Be a very big development in the case. Here at Court TV, we keep our eyes on the court files because that's how you get a lot of the information in these cases. There are gag orders. There aren't press conferences. We're not in Florida. They're not releasing this information, the discovery, but the attorneys are litigating the case and they're filing motions. Take a look at this because this is a motion filed by the defense. A motion to strike the death penalty. RE: Autism Spectrum Disorder. And then a motion to redact or seal newly filed records. So they don't want any of this made public. It's under seal right now. But going after the ability of the state of Idaho to seek the death penalty in this case, and it appears it is connected to autism spectrum disorder. So putting the pieces together here brings us to the next question in our investigation, which is, does the accused killer have autism spectrum disorder? And if so, I want to know what it is and what it means. Going to need some help for this one. Joining us, psychotherapist, author, host of Talking Live and the Bite Size podcast, Dr. Robbie Ludwig, and former homicide detective, host of the Interview Room with Chris McDonough. Chris McDonough is with us. Thank you both. Just before I start showing you some videos of the suspect, can you give us a little bit of a definition here, Dr. Robbie, about what autism spectrum disorder is?
So autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disability, and it impacts communication and social interactions. So often people with this disorder have difficulty with social interactions, making eye contact, communicating. It's very hard for them. And in some cases, they have very specific obsessions. They get very upset if their schedule is interfered with. They don't understand their own emotions very often, and it's hard for them to understand other people's emotions as well.
Thank you, Dr. Robbie. With that in mind, I want to show you, this is a traffic stop that was done at Washington State University, October 14th, 2022. The suspect is in the car. There's this back and forth with the officer. Let's watch.
Hello, I am Officer Loangus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You ran the red light.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
so
I was behind you the whole time. Yeah. So technically you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you run the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Yep. So would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck in the intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done? Just
you're not supposed to block an intersection like that in Washington. So just by you blocking the intersection, that's technically a ticketable violation. And then then you're running a red light. So it's another ticketable offense. So you're not supposed to proceed into the intersection until you can go. Because a lot of people do what you just did, right? Is like you're sitting in the intersection waiting, and then turns, and then you're blocking. So
yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with speeding because someone had stopped. I wasn't sure what they were doing, and then they put on their light to turn.
Mhm.
So I thought that maybe they were letting me go through.
Oh,
Did you see that?
no. Mm-mm.
I feel like right before I made the turn, there was someone who like made a right. They didn't have their, their signal on, so I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would just advise just don't enter the intersection until you can go, so you don't get stuck. Let's see.
But in that situation, the best thing to do then would be back up. And not.
I don't know if there's a best thing to do in that situation, because you're either going to back up into somebody or you're going to run a red light. So, or you're going to be sitting in an intersection.
Yeah.
There's not really a great option there.
Yeah, I was just slightly into the crosswalk, so where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have like crosswalks.
Oh,
so even
yeah,
if
they do.
You're kind of slightly. There's a little bit more leeway as well. Like there are a few lines. Like there's one white line and there's another one. Like there's like a certain margin from which you can actually kind of put your vehicle, place your vehicle.
Yeah. So I know laws vary state to state, but there is a law in Washington for blocking an intersection like that, proceeding through when you don't, when you're just stalling. I forget the actual verbiage. I can find it for you, but it's like stalling, blocking an intersection.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the law. I don't mean to.
Oh no, yeah, I can find it for you. Yeah.
Anything.
One second.
Okay. Do you want to see one more first before we comment? Let's take a look at one more. One more. Now that was before the murders. This one is after the murders. He's presumed innocent, but this is after the murders when he's driving back home to Pennsylvania with his father, gets stopped, I believe, in Indiana.
He was right up on the back end of that van, pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed?
Well, we come
Making great eye contact to me.
from WSU, and we're standing early.
What's WSU?
University, basically.
Like he's so comfortable with the conversation that he's like, I know that it's loud and that's why he's doing it also, but he's like putting himself towards the cop. Normally, if you're like trying to get away from somebody, even without knowing it, you're like recoiling, like backing up. He's cool as a cucumber. And this is after the murders.
That is Foxing area.
So I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University?
Yeah.
And you're going where?
We're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're slightly punchy because we drive for hours.
Hours, days.
Hours to drive. Well, almost a day.
Okay, let's bring everybody back in here. So, Dr. Robbie, are you seeing anything that would be consistent with autism spectrum disorder from his communications with law enforcement here?
Well, especially from the first interaction. I mean, usually when someone gets pulled over and they're, talking to a police officer about something that they did, they just basically say, I'm sorry, and it won't happen again. But we could see that Bryan got into this obsessional back and forth, like he was really trying to process and make sense of this interaction. It was challenging for him. We could also see too the odd interaction, the eye contact wasn't so great, the rocking back and forth.
His eye contact seems to be perfect to me, except for the one time when he looked forward.
So definitely there was a disconnect there. And I actually had the idea that Bryan might be on the autistic spectrum. But
of course she did. She knew it all along.
But again, this would have to be diagnosed by a psychologist who specializes in this or a psychiatrist. But I think we could see the oddity there, and it could indicate this disorder.
Yeah, Chris.
No, he had stuff on his record. It was just sealed from when he was younger. He stole his sister's cell phone.
That's another one of the oddities is he's in Indiana, driving from Washington State, which is far, far away. And the officer says, where are you going? To get some Thai food.
I probably would have said something just as dumb. Just because I was nervous around to be around a cop. That's just my thing. But
because if you want Thai food, you go to Indiana. Even if you're in Washington, you need to get to Indiana. What did you take away, Chris, when you watched this interaction? What do you take away from the suspect?
Well, I think the first thing, obviously to always understand is when you're making that type of contact on a busy freeway like that, the passenger seems to be answering a lot of the questions. So that kind of raises a red flag just for a second. But, what law enforcement is looking for, obviously, if this, allegedly, if he's involved in this incident and you're going to throw up a diminished capacity defense, then they're going to look for the type of foreknowledge that he was putting into motion, i.e., was he doing things that he knew were proper? Was he making good judgment? And I think both of these traffic stops tell us that he was in complete control of his capacities and, in fact, wanted to engage the officers, and the first one into a debate about whether or not he had crossed that line at the stop sign.
Unbelievable, right? Dr. Robbie, New York Times did some reporting on his earlier life, right? When he was in Pennsylvania growing up. I want to read that to you. Let's put it up. The new revelations about the suspect come from posts he made on an online forum in which he discussed his mental health struggles. I feel like an organic sack of meat with
these aren't new, but okay.
No self-worth, he wrote in 2011 when he was 16, adding later in the same post, as I hug my family, I look into their faces, I see nothing. It's like I'm looking at a video game, but less.
And wasn't that when he was on the DRUGSs? So I'm pretty sure that it was the Ruggs talking there. Even the visual snow stuff, that could all be related to like meth. Could be seeing stuff. Those drugs will make you trip out.
More that they wrote here. The words were posted on a forum website called Tapatalk, previously known as Youku, where the suspect commiserated with other users while suffering from a little understood neurological condition called visual snow, in which the person's vision is obscured by scattering dots, much like the static seen on an analog television.
Yeah, because that's what you'd be doing, right? And you'd be going out there looking at them stars with your visual snow. You'd be driving at night, knowing you may have this condition that can pop off at any time, and where you can't see straight, but you're going to be on a dark, desolate road that you don't know. I don't know, Kohbergs. Should have thought this through a little more, maybe.
On the forum website.
That alibi, you should have really thought that alibi through. All you had to say was, I don't know. That would have been way better than I was driving around. Then you put on, I was looking at the stars. And now it's autism.
The suspect wrote that he saw a, quote, sickly, tired, useless, and stupid man when he looked at himself in the mirror and felt that he did not deserve to live. Nothing I do is enjoyable, he wrote. I am blank. I have no opinion. I have no emotion. I have nothing. Can you?
That's depression, puberty.
You relate? He said his absence of emotion had begun about the same time as his visual snow symptoms in September of 2009.
2009, how old would he be? Shit, I don't know. I know how old I would be. He's 30. Okay. I'd be 23. So he would have been like young, like senior.
And one friend recalled him constantly talking about his fuzzy vision. Is there any connection here? What are you hearing as this younger defendant is describing what he's going through?
I don't know about the fuzzy vision, but I think what we're seeing here is that Bryan experienced a social disconnect. He did not feel connected to his family. And then we hear the other side. So autism spectrum can coexist with depression or anxiety. And what we're hearing is also the depression that was experiencing, and the low self-worth. And it seemed like they worked together. The disconnect, depression, not knowing how to feel more connected. He was aware of his inability to kind of connect and feel like a real person. And, people with autism spectrum aren't necessarily dangerous, same with mental health issues, but somehow the two of these together in an undiagnosed way seem to put him in this vulnerable place and maybe make him more homicidal in some way.
Is she making excuses for him?
Together in an undiagnosed way seem to put him in this vulnerable place and maybe make him more homicidal in some ways.
That's strange. Very strange. He probably does have a temper, He probably does. And I was going to say it earlier, like when they were sitting down, Jay Logston didn't even look at him. Like he was looking at the computer the whole time. I'm like, well, damn, that's kind of cold. But I was looking at this website about the autism spectrum and people that have autism, and are they more likely, or less likely to commit, crimes, like violent crimes. But it just says here, most individuals with ASD or, autistic or autism, are neither violent nor criminal. There is disagreement about whether they are overrepresented or not in the criminal justice system. That's all I really saw. See if there's anything else. Oh, it gives you case scenarios and everything. There was a kid that tried to use autism as a defense, and they ended up giving him treatment instead of sending him to jail. But I think he was like 10. So that's a lot. I mean, it's a lot different. He probably talked down to him. We probably all do, Chosen. And like everyone's a little different. Like what was it? There was someone that this girl did a like a video short, and she made it so that anybody could kind of follow what autism was, because everybody's different. Everyone's different. And so she said, think of it as like your burners on a stove, right? And one of them is sensory. That one might only be at like a 2, from a 2 to a 10. It might be on like a 2. But the person beside you that has autism, their sensory overload might be on like a 10. Same with like, changing the routines. Like you may be cool and change a routine's fine with you. There's other people that just cannot handle life if you change anything in their daily life. I'm one of those people. That's me. That would be me. I will cry like a big baby. I won't cry, but it just messes up my day. Like I have a routine, and that's what works for me. That's what works for me. But everyone's different, and I never would go out and hurt anybody. That's for sure. Let's see what they were talking about. They're talking about anything over on Twitter about Bryan Kohberger. I feel like my whole Twitter feed's nothing but Zelensky, Trump, and Sebastian Rogers. And we already saw the new Nancy Grace. That was what we played the other night. It just popped up, so I figured I'd let you guys know that we did see that. Oh my, look at this. Free Bryan Kohberger. How'd they get that picture of him? Is he AI? Why does he? Oh, that's not funny. That's not funny. I'm going to hell for that. But it took me a minute to realize what I was looking at. They put the autism ribbon on his shirt. Oh my God, Kohberger, or whoever this Adam Malone is. AI is too much. It's too much for me. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. That's just that's too real looking. Like, and then JLR is Bryan Kohberger autistic. He could be autistic all he wants. That doesn't give him the right to go unalive 4 people in their home in the middle of the night. That's calculated. That's calculated. I mean, people with autism are pretty smart people, though. Nothing really, like, it's not going to help. I do want to read the files, though. Like, I want to read the case files. Like, I want to read what's going on, what's happening. I want to know. You're never ready. I'm never either. I used AI for something once. What was that? I didn't end up using it. I just wanted to see if it would work. I did like a summary of something. And I was like, that doesn't even sound like me. Like, you could tell. Like, you know, my is the AI version of the National Enquirer. Hey, PJs, by the way. Where was he then? To know, Bryan wasn't at 1122. Well, he was there on November 13th, 2022. I mean, he had to have been there. He left the knife sheath under Maddie Mogan. You know, it was underneath of her. It wasn't like it was placed on top of her or on her nightstand or under the bed. It was laying underneath her bloody body. So, and welcome in, everybody. And you're moving, Mary Beth? That's pretty awesome. Watching the grandbabies. Aw. Are you going to bed, Ash? I saw that he dies after horrifying 10 days. 10 hours in jail. I saw that. I didn't see it, but I saw like a clip for it. And he needed help. Yeah. He needed like he needed help. But I remember seeing something about that. Hey, CJK. Oh, you missed a lot. You missed like pretty much the whole life. We were just going over things that, you know, that are happening in the Bryan Kohberger case. You know, how they're going to put in like a 3-dimensional model. The prosecution wants to bring one in to show their expert witnesses things, you know, to scale or whatever. Like, you know, it's all built to scale or whatever. They are trying to get him off of the death penalty. The new excuse for Bryan Kohberger is he's autistic. Now, there has to be something better they could have thought of. Something, anything, but that's what they're going with. What else did they do? There's so much that's been going on. I'm trying to think. They found 2 other people's DNA. They found blood on a glove outside, and then they found blood on the hand railing going from the first floor to the second floor. So the front door was open. It was open that next morning. A neighbor went by and told someone, that a news reporter. She got it like on the news. I think. I wonder if I have it like up here. Let me see. That's the one couldn't hear anything. I've got like some old videos up here. So this is one that says they couldn't hear anything when you're on a different floor. And then you have one where like some guy came forward and he's like, yeah, you could hear everything. It was weird. Old Kaylee interview. Wow, these are really old Kaylee interviews. Sorry, 3 weeks after the murders. I'll have to look. What's the lemon? I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of like the interviews up here. Because we went through all the interviews, like we did live for each victim. So we went through all of Ethan's, and Maddie's, all of Xana's at the time, and then all of Kaylee's. And we did that, what was it, a couple years ago? It seems like a year ago, year and a half. Well, they do have his phone when he turned it back on and then when he turned it off. So they were just assuming like, what the time would take to get to where he turned off his phone when he goes, like when he's by the school to when he turns it back on. Yeah. His phone just happened to be turned off. And if it's never turned off before like that, if he doesn't let his phone go dead, which not a lot of us do, but some people do. But if his phone isn't like usually going dead like that, they're going to look at that and they're going to say, well, you've had your phone for 2 years and it's never went dead before, but it happens to die between the hours of this homicide and then turns back on after the homicide. Yeah, no shame. I feel like people with autism have like so much. They're just, they're smart. I've been diagnosed and I feel like I'm a smart person. I make rational decisions. I can make common sense decisions. I would never hurt anybody. I would never blame. That would be like me blaming my car accident on like me going and murdering 4 people. Well, I got in a car accident and lost my eye. So I felt like I could do it. Like, it's crazy. I think that you can get service out there. It's not like he went out of service and then he went back into service. His phone was turned off. Yeah. Most areas have cell phone reception. Yeah. Oh, it's a loopy. I actually got a brand new one today and it's blue and it's so pretty. Oh, it's like that blue color y'all said I look nice in. I got a phone case that color. It just came out like 2 days ago and I was like, order. I haven't, because I don't personally like this one. I got it because it was wood, I think, and I like the wood kind of feel at the time. I have a couple other ones. But if you guys need a phone case to where you will not drop your phone, or you can hold like I can hold my phone, I can hold my drink. Sorry. I can hold like chapsticks. Whoopsie. I'm like knocking stuff over, like my water and my phone, like all my stuff. I can carry it all. I'm telling you, Loopy is where it's at. And if you get on and you look up Loopy promo code, you can get 10% off. And then 15% off if you buy 2. And they're like $39.99, I think, starting out. I should go get my blue one. I'm going to put it on tomorrow. Because I feel like tomorrow's spring. So, and I've always taken my phone back. Like when I, re-up, whatever, get a new phone. And it's always been in perfect condition. So going postal, so white autism now because prosecutors just handed over medical report. They illegally got on website. Well, they got his DNA from the trash. The neighbor's trash. And his trash. I guess it was in his own trash too. Derek, do you have a crush on Ladybug or something? You know what? Ladybug, if you said Bryan was an alien, that'd probably be actually better than saying I was driving in a cloudy night looking at the stars. They're not very good comments, are they? Oh, is your neighbor cried because you're leaving her? Not the one that lost her husband, right? You're not leaving her, are you? Oh. If you are, get back over there. I'm just kidding. It was cold and calculated. That's why he got along with it for so long. Okay, I'm sick of listening to them. You don't need a warrant for trash. Nope. I just removed them. I was sick of listening to them. Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. Those little elderly apartment complexes are what's up. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. My mom moved to one. It was 61 or older. I was the first night I was there. First day I was there, I was under the tree with my little wheelchair. I don't know how they got me in the grass. I don't know how they got me in the grass, but they did. They got me in the grass, and I had like all of these like old people. Like I'm talking like 70, 80. And I was like in my 20s at the time. So they were old to me, older people. They were just all around me, just listening to my story about my accident. They were just like, they were the coolest. And then I ended up having to stay with my mom because I needed help. I needed 24-hour care. And they weren't really supposed to do that because I wasn't 61 or with a disability. I technically didn't have a disability, although I couldn't move. But, she took me in and she took care of me. And then like I would take care of all of her little friends. Oh, it's what's up, man. It's what's up. They were so nice over there, except for my niece went to the neighbor one day. She's like, I got something for you. Like my niece thought candy, right? She runs over there. She's 3 years old. And I'm so glad she has a mouth and I'm so glad she did not open it, but she gave her raisins. She came back and she was like, Grandma, she gave me raisins. It was so funny. So funny. Yep. It's still legal. Yep. Once the trash can's on the curb, it's free for the taking. Are the loopy cases anime? No, I don't think so. They have a whole bunch of different styles though. Mine looks like it has like a crack or something on it. I don't know. I've been terrible to this thing. I got it because I wanted to be able to hold my phone with one hand, and my hands are like I have pretty small like little hands, so I couldn't do that. Like I can't hold a phone like this. Like no, I'll drop it. I would drop this phone, and phones are too expensive. Yeah, even if it's in a gated community. Yeah, via his pizza box. Yeah, he should have ate that crust. He got caught with some crust. The best part of the pizza. I haven't heard of it. Jamaria Sessions? I haven't heard of it. But I've been out of the game for a couple days. I actually feel pretty decent right now. I'm like talking to you guys and I'm not tired. Is it the little girl that was inside the house, locked inside the house or something? I think we were going to cover it and then I didn't look into it. So I didn't get a chance to, but I wanted to. I think they did like something on Law and Crime or something about it last night, or Court TV. Oh, man. I can hear the dogs out there. I feel so bad for them. Yeah, the police had access. Plus, I mean, normally a lot of those gated communities don't even have like somebody at the gate 24 hours, so they could have just walked right on in. That is the best part of the pizza. I'm glad that you agree, Regina. I love me some crust. I'm like the only person in the world that like I'm weird. I don't like the regular. Like, I won't even eat like half the pizza. I'll just eat the crust. Thanks, Ladybug. Yeah, I feel like I'm feeling better. The stepmom killed her allegedly. Oh my gosh. I have to look into it. That's sad. What's wrong with people? I mean, I know that's just like a redundant question, but I mean, really. Oh, I love the crust. I will look into it. That's sad. With the hidden bags and a shotgun. I don't know about the hidden bags and a shotgun. Crispy crust. Yes. Today, Vincent went to like he got like gas station pizza or something like that, he said. And he was like, you would have hated this pizza. And I was like, why? Did it have a lot of cheese on it? And he was like, yeah. So I'm turning him into me, and it's not good. He's going to go back home and he's not going to like anything. His mom's going to make him his little miso soup and he's going to say, I don't like it anymore. I'm just kidding. He would never say that. He never say that. He loves miso soup. But no, like, he gets his, like, I don't know why he does it, but he does. Like, we'll get hamburgers. Like, we'll go to like Red Robin, right? He doesn't have to order the same as me. I order like a 3-year-old hamburger with ketchup and mustard only. Like, I'm such a like kid when it comes to my food. And so he just orders the same thing. I'm just like, Hunt's Bros Pizza. That sounds familiar. Do they have good pizza? Oh, remember the other night when somebody came in here and they were like talking about semen being left at the scene on like the victim or something like that? And I haven't seen that person since. But I was like, what are you even talking about? Right? I was like, that would be all over the news because we were reading the documents. Like, we were still reading the documents. I found out, like a piece of fuzz. I found out it was a footnote from the judge reciting from another case. He was talking about, like, I guess, another case. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So no ketchup, no mustard, no deal. My side of my legs like bother me. I don't know why. You reading a novel? Yeah. Yeah, I read through the transcript too. We actually did a pretty good job reading through that. Someone actually left me the sweetest comment. And they said, it was somebody I didn't know, like somebody I don't know from the chat, but they said that I read it the best out of everybody that they listened to. And I was like, me with my one eyeball? I was so excited. It makes me feel good when I read good. Because my brain is faster than my mouth sometimes, do you know? Like I'm reading faster than I'm like trying to get it out. But yeah, it was fine. Oh, KJ, that's so cute. So on my second channel, like I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet. So I'm going to change the name, like the catchphrase or whatever. But I was going to have like the little phrase be stay spicy because I thought it was really cute. But now I kind of want a different one because it's more going to be like a live vlog. And I don't know. I mean, I guess you can still stay spicy. But that would have been cute. I should bring my flowers over to show you guys. Oh, thank you, Regina. So are you. He did have 6 weeks to clean up. You're the sweetest, Regina. Thank you. How did the FBI double the size? I don't know. Maybe there's a way now. I went to school for criminal justice. Maybe there's a way to break the cell in two, multiply the cell. I would say that there is. Because I remember them saying that there was more of a sample. I remember that. Right, Eva? Yeah. That's so funny, Cammy. That's so funny. That is living. That is living right there. Do I have anything else to really show you guys? I don't think so. I have a bunch of stuff on Bryan Kohberger, but we'll just go over it tomorrow and all that stuff too. But oh, I thought I saw something new, but I didn't. Let me see the latest. It doesn't look like it. I do want to go over the evidence that they like the new blood and stuff that they found over at the house, and go through that 3D like image that we have, that mock image. I'm gonna try to like download the picture somehow and put the actual like glove outside and blood on the handle, because that front door was open, and I will find that that article that said that. I remember it was like the next day or it was a few days after, because I don't think we started covering this case. Like, I don't think anybody did until like the 15th or the 16th. It was a couple days went by. And I remember having that video, and now I don't. And I do have a bunch down here. Oh, and also I wanted to go over, we'll probably do it Sunday. Ruby Frankie's daughter, well, not her oldest, not Sherry, but her youngest, Eve, is out talking. The little girl that suffered horrific torture from her mother. She is out actually talking, the one that they found in the room, in the bedroom, and they couldn't get her to come out for like 6 hours. The cops had to like sit there and like coax her out of the bedroom. She wouldn't come out. She looked like a demon in there. No offense to her. I mean, her hair was all like hanging low, and it was like dark, and she was just sitting in like the cross position. I was just like, oh my gosh, it was scary. But she wouldn't come out. It was so sad. So maybe we'll go over that on Sunday. And then her oldest son came out, and there's new Hulu that just came out with a new documentary, and they're showing clips from like behind the scenes that we didn't see on YouTube. And one of them is like really sad. She's like telling her son to just act happy, and he's like, I don't know if I can do that right now. Like, it is in his eyes. It's just sad. It's like these kids were like put through the ringer, Social media dating. It is how it's done. Hey, 9 years strong over here, me and Vincent today. He got me these beautiful flowers, and I didn't get him anything good. I got him a car charger. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to put, he wanted a picture of us in a picture frame. I couldn't believe it when I heard that. I got the picture frame right there. Just got to get the picture. What study group? Yeah. So now, yeah. Yep, you're right. It was about 8:30. Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. I am wondering, and we're going to go over this tomorrow, because I wrote this down and I was like, I bet you that son of a gun. So, the teacher, Miss Ramslin, she hasn't been talking. And I feel like he could have set up that house like a mock murder scene. He left a little bit of evidence on the outside that wasn't his, left a little on the railing. He left that front door open to make it look like maybe somebody went out the front way, but maybe he went out the side, or maybe he did go out the front way. We don't know. I don't know. But I'm wondering. Oh, yeah. Hold on one second. Let me grab them for you. Oh, I thought that the dog was in here, but she's not. I'll put them on my desk so that way you guys can see them better. I don't know why I turned my camera off. It's not like you guys haven't watched me walk around before. I don't know if I can hold them down, but they're super pretty. They're so pretty. They're like, they're pink, like little roses and big roses. And then they got these other little flowers that are like big. They're going to, But he got me those, and he got me a card too. Oh, and he got a lot of this. I got a lot. He got a lot, and then he's getting. I'm getting extensions on March the 4th because your girl used to be really cute with some long hair. I don't know what happened, but I want my long hair back so bad. I'm excited. So when I come online on the 4th, you guys are going to be like, whoa, where'd all that hair come from? And I'm almost like, the salon. I'm excited. I've never had extensions done. I've always hated like the density of my hair. Like I've always wanted it to be a little thicker, but I didn't realize when it actually like started thinning when I turned 39 that it would like go this fast. Like I just can't handle it. I was actually looking up pictures earlier. I don't even know if they're on here, but I was on like what was that? I was on something. I was on Snapchat. And I was just like, dang. I was like, your hair used to be like so long, but I don't have any on here. It doesn't look like. It hurts a little to get it. Oh, well, I'm used to having people pull my hair pretty hard whenever they do it. My sister-in-law, she got no chill. Oh, I love fresh flowers too. I can actually smell. Remember the flowers I was going to put in the big white container? I think I'm going to get different ones, like these ones to put in there. But I could smell them. They're still over there. I'm going to put those, I think, on the wall and then take the white flowers out. I don't know. I've got a vision. We'll see. Yeah. Depending on how tight the braids are, well, I want them to be tight. She seems like she knows what she's doing, and it's expensive. But I'm hoping that, it just lets my real hair kind of like grow out longer and better. So I'm excited about it. And it's only like right here. Really? True crime? I wish I had some hair. I did. I used to have hair and then just like, I don't know where it went. Ask me what you're smoking. I want to be on your level. Yeah, aristocrat. Oh, thanks, Mary Beth. I told Vincent he's not going to know. I was like, you're going to be like, where'd all that hair come from? It could have been aristocrat. I wear gloves. I ain't gonna lie. Every time I put on a pair of these stupid surgical gloves I have, I clean with them. If I'm touching meat, like raw meat, I'll wear gloves. I'm weird. I'm a weird person when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I can't say anything about Bryan Kohberger, but putting in little baggies, that's just a little weird. Let me see this. It's his, there's 28 zeros behind that octillion or whatever it was for Bryan Kohberger. Let's see. And it depends on which one you're doing to know how many cells that you would need. And such samples can be analyzed with significantly fewer cells. Okay. Wait, I'm like, where'd I go? There we go. Yeah, how little are the baggies? Oh, God. I bet you are, Mary Beth. If you need any help decorating, just let me know. I feel like I don't have nothing to work on now. Actually, I do have closets. I could reorganize. Might even wear gloves. I do wear gloves a lot. But, I mean, I don't wear them like outside though, or like to the grocery store or, things like that. I think that I wonder why people think it was somebody other than Bryan. I think he did a hell of a job. I mean, it's not, it's not like he's dead to right guilty. Like, I mean, he left a little bit there to the imagination. The Dickies one piece, that's in the Snake River, in my opinion. It's long gone. I believe he got rid of all that stuff that next night when his phone was off the grid again from like 5:30 to 9:30 or 8:30, 5:30 to 8:30 or 5:30 to 9:30. He was heading out that way. Snake River, knife, Dickies, whatever else you want to throw in there, and it's long gone and see you later. Never. Oh, hardwood floors and 2 decks. Oh, that's nice. I wonder how many people. Mass. I don't think I put it in right. Wow, 49% of all mass killings are made up of with family members. We'll have to look into that. Like to see like how many mass unalivers like know their victims, I'm wondering. Your apartment does sound really nice. Oh, true crime, that sounds like fun. I want to do our back deck too. I want to do something back there. I have a chair out there, like one of those white, like or like cream colored, and you kind of just like sit down in it. That's fine. I should keep that one. But I did a live out there, I think last year or the year before. Yeah, and those murders don't have a connection. And if they do, I feel like it's like family, familial, More clear. I don't know. We'll have to see. You have to just watch the trial with us, I guess. I've been covering this case for a long time. Over 300 videos. Can you all believe that? If you ever want to see anything on this case, I got you. I have every podcast, I believe, on here. I have every documentary on here. Except for the Dateline documentary, because I was on a red eye back from LA. So I watched it on the plane. But yeah, I mean, we even found a Roku documentary on this case from Roku. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, and there was 4 people unalived. This would be considered mass. And then you have the shampoo, the carpet. Yeah, me too, KJ, I think. Yeah, since like the 16th, I think, is when I started. I looked not too long ago, and it was just a quick, like, this is what's going on. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back to some of my old lives because they were pretty good. Like, I don't know, they're pretty decent because we were like figuring things out. It was like a rush. I don't know. This case really was like a rush because it was like we weren't getting information. We had no idea who it was. The cops were coming out saying that it wasn't targeted. Then they were saying it was targeted. They were saying someone in the house was targeted. Then the house itself was targeted. We weren't getting a lot of information. And I think it made us all just think that much more, but for the most part, other than when, people were going after the jacks and all of those things, for the most part, people were kind of working together though to solve things, like it wasn't like this whole split. Like it's starting to become more of a split now, but I still think people that are pro Kohberger and people that are like, against Kohberger can still mingle in the same chat. Now, when it comes to like the Sebastian Rogers case, I don't think people that can mingle with that are like, for Seth or for Katie, they can't mingle together because it's a little crazy. They do need to release forensic data just a little bit. Oh, because the light hair, your scalp gets burnt. Well, thank you guys for all coming and hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you, Regina. Yeah, don't forget to hit that like button. I'll be on tomorrow sometime. We're going to go celebrate our anniversary tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to do. I can't remember what we usually do for our anniversary. I thought we did the same thing every year, but we don't. I think we just kind of like play it by ear. But this one's a pretty big one. I mean, 9 years is a long time. He put up with me. Oh, and I wanted to thank Vincent's mom for, if she's listening, well, she'll be listening in the morning, but thanks, Haru, for checking on me and making sure that I felt okay the other night. That was very nice. That was extremely thoughtful. She's like, my son is sick now, his girlfriend's sick. And I'm like, I know, we're all sick over here. But I think we're getting better. We usually do order in food. That's what we usually do, like for our, like my birthday and his birthday and things of that nature. We like to order just like stuff in and then just, I don't know, hang out. I always have dinner with him every night. Like, because he goes to bed early because he works early in the morning. So he's in bed. He's probably asleep by now. But I'm normally, up for a little while. So I always make sure I have dinner with him because, that's what you should do. You guys were so sweet. Well, thank you guys for being here. I hope your move goes well. Oh, he did have Rubbermaid. You are right, going postal. He did have the Rubbermaid gloves in the kitchen. Yeah. He did. He did have one of the Rubbermaid gloves because I remember that. Yeah, I think we'll go to the mall or something tomorrow. We'll do something. We'll figure it out. Me and him will figure it out. We always do. Maybe I can get him to go to the home store with me. I want to get some more of these little frilly things, those little fluffy things to put in that white pot when I put it back up there after my flowers are gone. These are so cute, and I'm keeping them in here because if not, my cat will eat the flowers. He was already trying to eat them. Well, come back tomorrow. I'll be here. We will talk about the mock house. If this could be a mock crime house, crime scene. If Bryan, maybe he was going over there doing things. Maybe he, the 12 times that he was going over there, maybe he was planting stuff. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. So, oh, well, thank you, Regina. And you guys will have to come up. Some people can come up on panel or something tomorrow. We'll do like a panel. We'll open it up and we'll talk Bryan Kohberger because I like talking Bryan Kohberger. And we'll talk about all the other stuff. And I hope you guys all have a great, great, great day or great evening. We stayed on for about 2 hours. So I guess I am feeling a little better. Feeling a little better. That's good. I'll be back on tomorrow evening though. Let me think. Is there anything else I need to tell you guys before I jump off of here? I don't think so. Thank you for the prayers and the well wishes and all that. I really appreciate it. I am starting to feel a lot better. I think tomorrow I'm going to wake up and be like myself. I can feel it. But thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you, Doodlebug. Thank you guys. 9 years. Can't believe it. But I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't